Why did one cruel joke at the holiday table end with papers served in a bright office lobby? How did I go from laughing at his fat belly to standing in public while a temporary court order told me what happens next, starting today? My name is Alethea Price, but everyone calls me Thea. I was 34 that winter, and I was tired of pretending that my life was normal. I worked in marketing for a home goods company. All day, I sold the idea of warm family moments. At night, I felt like I lived inside a tight box with a man who watched what I ate, how I dressed, and how I talked. That is how I told it anyway. The holiday dinner was at Grant's mother's house. Her dining room always looked perfect. The napkins were folded like little fans. The plates matched. The turkey smelled strong and sweet. The lights were warm and soft. It should have felt kind. It did not. Grant sat beside me like he always did. He had gained weight that year. He had this soft belly that pushed against his belt. I had seen it every morning. I had seen it every night. I told myself it meant he had stopped trying. I told myself it was disrespect to me. Grant asked if I was okay when we walked in. I said I was fine and told him to stop asking like I was a problem. He asked what he did wrong. I said he always made everything heavy. At the table, his mother, Judith, served everyone. She asked if we wanted more potatoes. She asked how work was going. She asked about the kids' school. She tried so hard to make it easy. My mother, Marjorie, was there too. She loved an audience. She smiled too wide and spoke too loud. My sister, Taryn, kept checking her phone. Kyle, Grant's brother, sat at the far end and joked with the kids. Poppy was 7 and wanted to sit near the rolls. Eli was 4 and kept touching the little place cards like they were toys. I was sitting there with my wine, and I wanted attention. I wanted to be the funny one. I wanted everyone to look at me and agree with me. I told myself I was keeping it real. I told myself Grant needed a push. Judith offered Grant another slice of pie. Grant smiled in a small way and said he was fine. He put his hand on his belly for a second, like it was sore or like he was checking it. That tiny gesture annoyed me. It looked like a performance to me. I wanted to cut it down, so I laughed and said his belly was too fat for the holiday table. I said it like it was a joke, like it was a truth everyone should admit. I said it loud enough for the whole table. For 1 second there was silence, like a glass breaking but no sound yet. Then Marjorie laughed. She said I was brave to say it. Taryn made a noise like she was choking and then pretended she had something in her throat. Kyle's smile went flat. Judith's face changed like someone turned off a light. Grant did not yell. That was the worst part for me. He just looked at me. His eyes got shiny, and then he blinked and looked down at his plate. He asked very calmly why I said that in front of everyone. I said I was just joking, and he was too sensitive. He asked if I would say something like that about myself in public. I said it was different because I could take it, and he could not. Judith asked me to pass the gravy, like she was trying to pull the moment away. Kyle said something about the weather, loud and forced. Poppy stopped chewing and stared at Grant. Eli asked why everyone got quiet. I told Eli we were just listening. Grant's fork moved slowly. He did not eat much after that. He kept his shoulders stiff, like he was holding his body still so no one could see it shake. I watched him and felt a strange thrill. I told myself I was winning. I told myself he finally understood that I was not going to baby him. I told myself respect follows results, and I had results. After dinner, people stood up and moved around. Judith asked Grant if he could help her in the kitchen. Grant went with her. I saw Judith touch his arm in a careful way. I saw Grant nod, like he was agreeing to something serious. Marjorie came close to me and said I did good. She said men get lazy when women stay quiet. She said the truth keeps them in line. Taryn asked me, under her breath, if I had to say it like that. I said it was not her business. She said Grant looked hurt. I said he wanted to look hurt so people would feel sorry for him. When it was time to leave, Grant walked ahead of me to the driveway. The air was cold and sharp. The porch light made everything look too bright. Our kids ran to the car. Judith wrapped a scarf around Poppy's neck and fixed Eli's hat. Grant opened the car door and stood there, holding it, but he did not look at me. I hated that. It made me feel small. I could not stand feeling small. So I made it worse. I spoke louder and said I hoped he would use the new year to take better care of himself. I said it like I was helping him. I said it like I was a caring wife. Grant asked me to stop. I said he was embarrassing me by acting offended. He said he did not want to fight in front of the kids. I said he was always hiding behind the kids when he did not want to face the truth. Kyle stepped closer, like he wanted to speak, but he did not. Judith looked at me with a steady face. She did not shout. She just looked disappointed, and that felt like a slap. In the car, Grant drove without music. He asked me why I wanted to hurt him in front of his family. I said he was making it sound dramatic. I said it was one joke, and he was turning it into a whole story. He asked if I even liked him anymore. I said he was fishing for reassurance like a child. At home, the kitchen light was too white. The house felt empty, even with the kids there. Grant helped them wash hands. He asked Poppy about her drawing. He asked Eli which dessert he liked. He acted normal. That also made me angry, because it did not fit my story of him being the problem. While he was putting a cup in the sink, I saw his phone screen light up on the counter. I did not mean to look, but I looked. A calendar reminder flashed for a moment. It said, Riverside 10:20 a.m. Under it, I saw another line that said, Meeting, personal. Grant noticed my eyes. He turned the phone face down. He did not accuse me. He did not shout. He just moved it away like it mattered. On the counter near the mail, there was a plain folder. It was labeled Household, in neat letters. I had never seen him label anything like that before. It looked clean and serious. I asked him what that was. He said it was just organizing. I said he was being secretive. He said he was trying to keep things simple. His voice was flat, like he was tired. Later, when the kids were in bed, I walked past the hallway and heard a soft beep. It sounded like a phone starting something. I stopped and listened. Grant was in the living room, facing away from me. His shoulders did not move. He did not turn. I asked what he was doing. He said he was just checking something on his phone. I said he was acting weird. He said he did not want to talk tonight. That made me feel like the victim again. I told myself he was punishing me with silence. I told myself he wanted me to beg. I went to our bedroom and expected him to follow. He did not. Minutes passed. The house stayed quiet. Then I heard a door close, not hard, just final. When I got up and looked, the guest room door was shut, and the light under it was off. Grant had chosen the guest room. I stood in the hallway and felt heat in my face. I told myself he was being childish. I told myself he wanted attention. I told myself I did nothing wrong. But my hands were shaking anyway. On Monday morning, I acted like nothing happened. I made coffee. I talked to the kids like we were a normal family. I did not knock on the guest room door. I told myself that if Grant wanted to sulk, he could do it alone. When Grant came out, he looked clean and calm. He did not look angry. That made me feel worse. I wanted him to react so I could point at the reaction and say he was the problem. He asked if we could talk later. I said I was busy and he should not trap me with heavy talks before work. He asked if I could at least agree to keep comments like the holiday one private. I said he was trying to control my mouth because he hated the truth. He drove the kids to school. I drove myself to the office. On the way, I rehearsed my story. In my head, Grant was not a hurt man. He was a man who wanted to guilt me. That was easier to hold. At the open plan office, the air smelled like printer paper and sweet coffee. People smiled at me the way they always did. I liked that. It felt like safety. Brooke waved me over and asked if I saw the photo from the weekend. I said I did not know what she meant. She said she posted my gym picture from last week, the one with Nolan. She said it was cute and wrote, "Glow up." She asked if I liked it. My stomach tightened, but I smiled anyway. I said it was fine and she was being supportive. Brooke said Nolan looked like he got it together and Grant looked like he gave up. She laughed like it was normal to say. I laughed too. I told myself it was just honest. I told myself Grant needed to hear it from someone other than me. A few desks away, my manager glanced over and then looked away fast. I felt eyes on me. I liked it and hated it at the same time. Around late morning, a message popped up from HR. Denise asked if I could stop by for a quick word. The words were polite, but my chest got tight. In the HR room, Denise closed the door softly. She asked how things were going at home. I said everything was normal, and she should not worry about my private life. She said she was not judging, but she had to talk about workplace impact. She said a coworker reported my recent social media posts because they included my husband and included mocking language. I acted surprised. I asked what posts. She said she could not show me on her screen, but the report listed a few captions and tags. She asked me to consider privacy and respect. She said it could become a conduct issue if it kept spreading. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to say my husband was the one who needed help, not me. Instead, I leaned into my best victim face. I said Grant was hard at home and I needed to cope. I said I used humor to survive. Denise said she understood stress, but she asked me to keep family conflict off public channels tied to our company. I nodded and said I understood. I smiled as if I was the reasonable one. Inside, I was furious, not at myself, at Grant. In my mind, he must have reported me. I knew it made no sense, but I needed someone to blame. When I left HR, Brooke asked if I was okay. I said HR was being dramatic. I said someone at work was jealous of me. Brooke asked if it was about my toxic husband. I said yes, and I let the word sit there like a gift. At lunch, I texted my sister. I told Taryn that Grant was trying to ruin my life at work. Taryn asked what I did this time. I said I did nothing. She asked if the holiday comment was really nothing. I said she was picking sides. Taryn said she was just scared for me. I told her she had no spine. After work, I drove to the gym. I did not tell Grant. I told myself I did not need permission. I told myself I needed a space where I felt seen. Nolan was at the front desk. He smiled in a bright way, like the world was easy. He asked if I was okay because I looked tense. I said my husband was acting cold and cruel. Nolan said I deserved better. He said a woman like me should not have to beg for attention. I liked the way he said it. I liked how simple it sounded. I told myself it was not flirting. I told myself it was support. After class, Nolan asked if I wanted a smoothie. I said yes. We sat in the small lobby by the blender bar. People walked past, but it still felt private. He asked why I stayed with a man who did not treat me right. I said I stayed for the kids, and because leaving was complicated. He said I did not sound happy. I said I was not happy, but it was not my fault. I said Grant changed, and I just responded. Nolan asked if Grant ever apologized. I said Grant never apologized and always acted like a victim. Nolan said some men use silence as control. I said yes, and that word stuck in my mind like proof. Control. I could use that later. When I got home, the house was quiet in a stiff way. Grant was in the kitchen, cutting fruit for the kids. He did not ask where I was. That bothered me so much that I almost wanted to scream. He asked if I could help with bedtime. I said I was tired and he could handle it. He asked if I was at work late again. I said yes. He looked at me for a long second and then looked away. He did not accuse me. He did not demand my phone. He just said we needed a plan for evenings because the kids were getting confused. I said he was trying to turn the kids against me. He said he was trying to give them routine. Poppy came in and asked why Dad slept in the guest room. Grant said it was adult stuff and she did not need to worry. I jumped in and said Dad was being stubborn. Grant looked at me like I kicked him. I told myself it was his fault for making it visible. After the kids went to bed, I went to the kitchen for water. Grant's laptop was open on the table. I saw rows and columns like a spreadsheet, but I could not read what it was about. I saw a tab that said Meeting Personal on a calendar app. He shut the laptop when he noticed me. I asked what he was hiding. He said he was organizing. I said he was planning something against me. He asked why everything had to be a fight. I said he started it by acting offended at dinner. He asked if I had been honest with him lately. I said yes, and I said it fast, like speed could make it true. He asked if I wanted to stay married. I said he was pushing me to answer when I was exhausted. Then his phone buzzed on the counter. The screen lit for a second. It showed a missed call from no caller ID. He did not pick it up. He turned the phone face down, slow and careful, like it mattered. I watched him and felt a chill. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself he was just being weird because he liked drama. But later, when I lay in bed alone, I scrolled my own phone and saw Brooke's post again. My smile looked wide. Nolan's hand was near my shoulder. People in the comments wrote little fire emojis and jokes about upgrades. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself Grant deserved to feel a little pressure. Still, when I heard Grant's steps move down the hall to the guest room again, calm and steady, I realized something. He was not begging. He was not chasing. He was doing something else, and I did not know what it was. Friday came fast, and I decided it would be my reset. That is what I called it. A reset meant I could do anything and still feel clean. Brooke invited me to a holiday mixer on a rooftop bar downtown. She said it would be good for me to get out. She said I needed to remember who I was before marriage made me small. I did not ask Grant if it was okay. I told him it was a work thing. He asked what time I would be home. I said I did not know because marketing events run late. He asked if I could at least text for the kids' bedtime. I said he always acted like I was leaving forever. He did not argue. He just nodded. He wrote something on a sticky note and put it on the fridge. It said, "Bring forms." I pretended I did not see it. I told myself it was for school. At the office that day, Brooke kept whispering plans. She said everyone from the friend group would be there. She said Nolan might come too. I told her Nolan was just a gym friend. She smiled like she did not believe me. I said she should stop being dramatic. Denise from HR passed my desk and asked if I was doing okay. I said yes, and asked if this was still about a joke online. Denise said she only wanted to remind me that the internet keeps records. I said that was fine because I had nothing to hide. I believed it while I said it. I can see now that I needed to believe it. That evening, I put on a dress that made me feel sharp. I looked at my body in the mirror and told myself I deserved to be admired. I told myself Grant stopped earning me. I said in my head that respect follows results, and I had results. I hated that he looked calm while I felt hungry for praise. Grant was helping Eli with his shoes when I left. Poppy sat on the couch with her homework. Grant asked if I could kiss the kids goodbye. I said I was running late and they were fine. Poppy looked up and asked if I would be home for her story time. I said yes, even though I knew it was not true. In the car, I played loud music and tried to push the guilt down. I told myself guilt was a trick that weak people use to control strong people. I told myself I was strong. The rooftop bar was bright and cold. Heat lamps stood like tall metal trees. People crowded near the railings with drinks in their hands. The city lights looked like a screen behind everyone. Phones were already out. Brooke loved that. She said it made the night feel real. She asked where Grant was. I said he stayed home because he was moody. Brooke asked if he was still upset about the holiday table. I laughed and said he was still playing the victim. I told the group he could not handle honest feedback. I said he wanted me to pretend everything was fine while he let himself go. A couple of people laughed. One woman looked away. A man asked if Grant heard me say those things. I said yes and said he needed to hear them. I said a wife should be able to speak. I made it sound like a cause. Then I saw Nolan near the bar. He wore a simple jacket and looked relaxed. He walked up and asked how I was doing. I said I was finally having a good night. He asked if Grant was okay with me being out. I said Grant did not own me. Brooke pulled her phone up and said we needed a picture. I leaned in next to Nolan. He put his arm behind me, not fully touching, but close. Brooke posted it fast. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself it was just fun. Later, I saw Grant's name pop up in a text preview on my phone. He asked if I was coming home soon because Poppy kept asking. I did not answer right away. I wanted him to wait. Waiting felt like power. Nolan asked why I looked annoyed. I said my husband was being needy. Nolan said some men use kids to keep women on a leash. I said yes again because it helped my story. Brooke started telling a story about her ex, and everyone laughed. The group's mood was loud and loose. I wanted to keep it there, so I pushed again. I said Grant acted like he was the one suffering, but I was the one carrying everything. I said I worked, I planned, I kept the family looking good. I said he just sat and watched his belly grow. I said it like a joke, but it was not really a joke. It was a punishment dressed up as humor. Someone raised a phone as if to record the moment. I saw the camera lens pointed toward me. That should have stopped me. It did not. I smiled bigger. I waved my glass like I was giving a speech. I told myself it was normal to be honest. I felt the room tilt into me. People laughed, and that laughter felt like a warm coat. I wore it. I needed it. Then my phone buzzed again. Grant asked where I was. He asked why I did not reply. He asked if I was safe. I read it and felt irritation. Safe. Like I was a child. I told myself he was controlling. I told myself he was trying to make me look bad. So I answered in a way that would hurt him. I said I was out with friends and he should stop interrogating me. I said he was embarrassing himself. He responded that he was not interrogating me. He said he only wanted a time so the kids could sleep without waiting. He said he did not want to fight. He asked me to please stop posting about him. I showed Brooke the message. I laughed and said he was trying to control my posts again. Brooke rolled her eyes and asked why he was so insecure. Someone at the table said Grant sounded calm. I said calm can be manipulation too. I said he wanted to look reasonable while making me feel guilty. Nolan asked if I wanted to leave with him to get food nearby. I said maybe later. I did not want to leave the crowd yet. The crowd was feeding me. Around midnight, the wind got colder. People started to go downstairs. Brooke said we should take one last group picture. She lined us up with the skyline behind us. She asked me to stand in the middle. I did. I posted a short clip after, with a caption about choosing peace. I knew it was a lie. I posted it anyway. On the ride home, I sat in the back seat of a rideshare and watched the city slide by. My phone screen kept lighting up with notifications. Brooke's post got more likes. Someone commented that I looked happier without Grant. I stared at that comment for too long. When I got home, the house was dark. The living room lamp was on low. Grant had left a glass of water on the counter, like he still cared. That made me angry again. I wanted him either to beg or to disappear. I did not want this quiet middle. I walked past the small office corner and heard a low hum. It sounded like the shredder, soft and steady. I smelled toner like a printer had run late. I paused in the hallway and listened. Grant came out from the office area with a calm face. He asked if I was home. I said yes, and asked what he was doing. He said he was sorting old papers. I asked why he needed a shredder at night. He said he was cleaning up. His key sat on the counter. I saw a new key on the ring, silver and plain. I had not seen it before. I asked what it was for. He said it was just a spare. I asked for what. He said it was not something I needed to worry about. I felt heat rise in my chest. I said he was hiding things from me now. He said he was trying to keep the house calm. He asked me to not wake the kids. I went toward the bedroom and noticed the guest room door was still closed. Separate spaces, separate everything. I told myself he was doing it to punish me. But when I checked on Poppy, I saw her asleep with her book open on her chest. Eli's blanket was kicked off. Grant had tucked it back in. He had done all of it without me. I stood there and felt a small crack in my story. It scared me, so I covered it fast. I told myself he was only being good to the kids so he could look like the hero. I told myself I was still right. I told myself I could fix this whenever I wanted. Then I walked back into the hallway and noticed the office door was not fully shut, just almost shut, like someone wanted it to look closed. The next week felt like a slow tug of war, but no one held the rope with both hands except me. Grant moved through the house like a quiet worker. He packed lunches. He washed cups. He folded small shirts into neat squares. He did not chase me, and that made me chase the fight. On Tuesday morning, the kitchen looked divided. 2 mugs sat on opposite sides of the counter, like they belonged to 2 different homes. Grant used the plain black one. I used my tall white one with gold letters. It was a small thing, but it made me feel judged. Grant asked if we could agree on pickup times for school. I said he was acting like a manager, not a husband. He said the kids needed routine. I said he was using routine to punish me for one joke. He asked me to stop calling it one joke. I said he was rewriting history to make me look cruel. He did not raise his voice. He wrote the times on a notepad and left it on the fridge. I hated that calm paper more than I hated shouting. At the school pickup line, I saw other parents I knew from playdates. I could feel their eyes. I told myself they were watching because I looked good. I told myself they were jealous. I did not want to think they were seeing cracks. Grant was there too, parked 2 cars behind me. He did not pull up close. He did not wave. He stayed in his lane like a stranger. When Poppy got into my car, she asked why Dad was in a different car. I said, Dad liked to be difficult. She asked why Dad and I did not laugh together lately. I said Dad was stressed from work. Poppy said she heard Dad on the phone at night. I said adults talk at night sometimes. Grant texted me right after pickup. He asked if I could switch Thursday because he had a work meeting. I said he should have planned better. He said he was trying to plan, and that was why he asked early. I told him he always had an excuse. That evening, Eli had a cough that would not stop. Grant asked if we should take him to the pediatric clinic. I said it was probably nothing and he was overreacting. Grant said Eli's breathing sounded rough. I said Grant was trying to look like the hero. We went anyway because Grant did not bend on that. In the clinic waiting area, the chairs were hard and bright. A TV played cartoons with no sound. Eli sat on my lap, warm and heavy. Poppy sat beside Grant and leaned into him like a habit. A nurse asked basic questions and smiled at Eli. Grant answered in a steady voice. The nurse asked if we were both the parents. Grant said yes. I felt my stomach twist at the simple word, both. I wanted to be the main one. I wanted to be the important one. While we waited, Grant looked at his phone. I leaned over and saw his screen for a second. There were tabs open. One said, notary near me. Another said, delivery tracking. He noticed my eyes and locked the phone fast. I asked what he was doing. He said he was handling errands. I asked why he needed a notary for errands. He said it was private. I laughed softly and said he was getting secretive now. A woman across from us glanced up from her magazine. Grant did not respond. He just watched Eli's breathing. The doctor came in and said it was a normal winter cough, but we should watch it. Grant asked careful questions. I stayed quiet and let him lead, then told myself later that he was trying to control the situation. It sounds silly when I say it plainly. At the time, it felt like survival. On the way home, Grant asked if we could keep the next few weeks calm for the kids. I said calm meant silence, and silence meant I lost. I told him he was acting like a saint in public and cold at home. He asked what I wanted from him. I said I wanted him to stop playing the victim. That night, I called my mother. I told Marjorie that Grant was being strange and secretive. I said he might be planning something. Marjorie said men always plan when they cannot win with charm. She said I should get ahead of it. She asked if I had proof that Grant was treating me badly. I said I did not need proof because I felt it. Marjorie said feelings were enough for family, but not for outsiders. She said I should be careful. I hated hearing that, because it meant there were rules I could not bend. On Wednesday, my sister came over to drop off a scarf she borrowed. Taryn stood in the doorway like she did not want to enter. She asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, and asked why everyone kept asking like I was fragile. She said she was hearing rumors. I asked what rumors. She said Brooke posted more things, and people were talking. I told her people always talk. Taryn asked if Nolan was really just a friend. I said yes, and I said it too fast again. Taryn said she did not want to lie for me anymore. I asked what she meant. She said I used her name as cover last week. I said she should support me, not judge me. Taryn said she loved me, but she did not like what I was doing. I told her she was jealous because her life was smaller than mine. She looked hurt and left without arguing. I felt a quick sting, then I crushed it down. I told myself she was weak. That Friday was Poppy's winter recital at the community hall. It was crowded and warm. Folding chairs lined the room. Parents held phones up like little walls. The kids wore paper crowns and scarves they made in class. Poppy stood in the second row and kept searching the crowd. Grant arrived early with Eli. He sat 2 rows behind me, not next to me. Judith came in with a knitted bag of snacks. She sat beside Grant, not me. I felt the message like a slap again. During the songs, I tried to smile like a normal mother. I did not want anyone to see my anger. I watched Grant clap softly and lean toward Poppy when she looked at him. He looked steady. He looked safe. I hated that because it made my story harder. After the recital, parents gathered in the lobby. Brooke came up and hugged me too hard. She asked if Grant was being weird again. I said yes, and I let my voice rise a little so people could hear. I said he was isolating me. I said he was acting like I was the problem. Judith heard me. She walked closer and asked me to lower my voice. I said I was allowed to talk. Judith said this was for the children. I said she always protected Grant. Judith said Grant did not need protection from lies. I felt my face go hot. I said Judith was attacking me. Grant stepped between us, not touching anyone, just placing his body like a wall. He asked both of us to stop. He asked me to talk later, privately. I said he was controlling the scene again. He said he was protecting Poppy's night. Poppy walked up with her paper crown crooked. She asked why Grandma looked upset. I said Grandma was tired. Grant said Poppy did great and asked if she wanted hot chocolate. Poppy nodded and grabbed his hand. In the car after, I stared at my phone and saw a small notification from a cloud app on Grant's device name, like it was syncing. It said, "File uploaded successfully." I did not know what file. I did not know where it went. My stomach felt cold. I sat in my driveway for a moment before going inside, and I told myself he was just being dramatic. I told myself I still had control. But the truth is, I felt the floor shift under me, and I did not know how to stop it. Christmas Eve came with that fake warm feeling that people buy in stores. Lights everywhere, music everywhere, smiles that did not match eyes. I told myself it was a chance to fix the story. If I could make Grant look petty in public, then my choices would look brave instead of selfish. The dinner was at a family restaurant with one long table in the back. It was the kind of place with candles in red glass and framed photos of the city from 40 years ago. Marjorie said it was neutral ground. Judith did not like it, but she agreed because of the kids. Kyle came too, and his wife sat close to him like she wanted to disappear. Grant arrived with Poppy and Eli. He held Eli's hand and carried Poppy's small coat over his arm. He looked put together. Not flashy, just steady. That steadiness made my skin itch. I came in late on purpose. I wanted people to turn their heads. Nolan came with me. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself Nolan was just a friend, and I could bring a friend anywhere I wanted. I told myself Grant had no right to say anything after he shamed me with silence. That is how I framed it in my mind. When Grant saw Nolan, his face did not change much. He blinked once. He asked quietly why Nolan was here. I said Nolan happened to be nearby, and I did not want to be rude. Grant asked why nearby meant sitting at a family dinner. I said Grant was being dramatic and jealous. Marjorie smiled at Nolan like she was approving a new couch. She asked what Nolan did for work. Nolan said he trained clients at the gym and helped people get their life back. Marjorie laughed and said that sounded useful. Judith did not laugh. She looked at the menu and did not look up. Kyle asked Grant if he wanted to switch seats so the kids could sit together. Grant said it was fine. He made room for Eli. He kept his voice calm. I wanted him to snap so I could say, "See? That is the real him." Brooke showed up too, with her phone already in her hand. She said she was just stopping by to say hi. She angled the camera toward our table like it was a show. I hated Brooke sometimes, but I also used her. The waiter came and asked what we wanted to drink. Grant asked for water. I asked for wine. Nolan asked for a beer. Marjorie raised her eyebrows like she was proud of me. Grant asked if we could keep the night simple for the kids. I said he was always trying to control the tone. He said he was trying to protect them from adult drama. I said he brought drama by acting hurt all the time. Poppy asked if Nolan was coming to our house too. I laughed and said Nolan was just Mommy's friend. Grant looked at Poppy and said she did not need to worry about grown-up friends. He said it softly. He did not glare at me. That soft voice made me feel like the bad one, and I hated feeling like the bad one. When the food came, Grant cut Eli's chicken into small pieces. He reminded Poppy to drink water. He did all the parent things like it was normal. I tried to look like I was also normal, but my mind kept searching for a way to win. Nolan leaned toward me and asked if I was okay. I said Grant always did his calm act in public. Nolan said Grant sounded controlling. I said yes, because I needed someone to agree with me. Halfway through dinner, Kyle's wife asked how work was going for me. I said work was stressful because I had no support at home. Grant looked up and asked what I meant by no support. I said he knew what I meant. I said he punished me with silence and made me feel alone. Grant asked if we could not do this here. I said he always tried to shut me down in front of people. Judith finally spoke. She asked me to stop humiliating her son. I said I was not humiliating him. I was being honest. Judith said, "Honesty without kindness is cruelty." I felt my face heat up. I said Judith always protected Grant and treated me like an outsider. Judith said I became an outsider by how I acted. Kyle pushed his chair back a little and asked everyone to calm down. He said the kids were listening. Poppy stared at her plate. Eli started tapping his fork like he wanted to disappear into noise. I told myself the kids were fine. I told myself kids forget. That was easier than admitting the truth. Brooke whispered that this was wild and tried to film again. Grant noticed her phone and asked Brooke to stop recording his children. Brooke said she was not recording the kids. Grant said it did not matter. He did not consent. His voice stayed even. Brooke put the phone down, but her mouth curled like she was offended. The waiter asked if we wanted dessert. Judith said no. Kyle said no. Marjorie said yes, loudly, like she refused to end the night sad. I said yes too, because I wanted to look unbothered. When the bill came, Marjorie reached for it like she planned to pay and looked generous. Grant calmly put his card down and said he would pay for himself and the kids. He said my mother could pay for herself and her guests. He did not point at Nolan, but the word guests landed heavy. I laughed and said he was being petty. Grant said he was being clear. I said he was trying to embarrass me. He said he was not responsible for my choices. Nolan shifted in his seat and said he could cover his own meal. Marjorie said Grant was acting cheap. Grant said money and respect were connected, and he would not fund disrespect. That line made Kyle look down, like he had heard it before. Judith's lips pressed tight. I felt panic rise, and I turned it into anger. After dinner, I insisted we stop at the supermarket for last-minute things. I wanted to prove I still ran the home. Grant agreed because we needed milk, and because he always tried to keep routines for the kids. At the checkout, the line was long. A woman behind us hummed a holiday song. The cashier looked tired. Eli leaned against the cart handle. Poppy held a candy cane. Grant separated items into 2 stacks without speaking much. He put kids' items on his side. Milk, cereal, fruit, medicine, diapers. He put some basic household things too. I put my items on the other side, like wine and a fancy cheese I did not need but wanted. The cashier asked if it was 1 order or 2. Grant said 2. I said it did not need to be 2. Grant said it did. I asked him, quietly, why he was acting like we were already strangers. He asked me to stop making scenes. I said he was the one making a scene by splitting orders in public. He said he was doing what made sense. I tried to grab the divider and move it. Grant gently moved it back. He did not touch my hand. He did not raise his voice. He just said, again, that it was 2 orders. The woman behind us watched. The cashier watched. Poppy watched. I felt small in a way I could not stand. When we got home, the house was silent in that divided way again. Separate mugs, separate spaces. Grant carried the groceries without speaking. I followed him to the kitchen and asked what he was planning. Grant said he was planning peace. I said peace for him meant punishment for me. He said I could call it what I wanted, but he was done arguing. I went out to the balcony because I felt like I could not breathe. The air was cold and clean. I looked down at the street and saw our car pointed toward the street, not tucked in like usual. That felt like a message. Inside, I heard a soft click, like a drawer locking. Then I heard a printer sound, and after that, the faint smell of toner drifted through the hallway. I walked back in and saw a single blank page sitting in the printer tray. Blank. Nothing printed, like it was a test. I asked Grant what he was doing. He looked at me for a long second, calm and tired. He said he would not fight anymore. He said he would handle it properly. I thought properly was just another one of Grant's moods. On Monday, I went to work like usual, telling myself the weekend noise would fade. I wore my best coat and practiced a calm face in the elevator mirror. When I stepped into the office tower lobby, Denise from HR was already there with a tight expression. She asked if I could come with her for a moment. I said she was being dramatic again. She said she needed a witness for something official and asked me to stay calm. Then I saw Grant near the glass doors. He was not alone. He did not rush at me. He stood still, hands open, like he was waiting for a bus. He asked if I could listen for 5 minutes. I said he should talk at home, not at my job. He said he chose a public place so there would be no shouting and no confusion. A woman I did not know walked up and asked me to confirm my name. I said yes, and my voice sounded smaller than I wanted. She handed me an envelope and said I had been served. I laughed and said this was a stunt. Grant said it was not a stunt. He said he had done everything through proper steps. I asked why he wanted to destroy our family. He said I had been destroying it in public for months. Denise looked down at the envelope and asked if I wanted to sit. I said I did not need to sit. My hands shook anyway. Grant said he had kept records. He said he saved the holiday dinner video, the rooftop clip, the tagged gym photos, the messages where I claimed work, and the rideshare receipt that matched the same night. He said he also had my sister's text where she refused to cover again. I said he was stalking me. He said it was documentation, not stalking. We went to the courthouse lobby because the papers said we had to. Grant walked a few steps ahead, not touching me, not blocking me. In a bright public room, a clerk reviewed the filing and stamped it while people watched like it was normal life. The temporary orders were clear: a parenting schedule starting today, rules about online posts, and temporary use of the home tied to the kids' routine. I told Grant he was doing this to punish me. He said he was doing it to protect the children and end the humiliation. I reached for my phone to call my mother, and the clerk told me to step aside while Grant picked up Poppy's backpack and walked away.